Shocking! Eala just stunned Magda Linette at the Cincinnati WTA 1000. And the $7.4 million event absolutely erupted as the Filipino crowd turned the Lindner Family Tennis Center into a fortress of noise. A 21-year-old from the Philippines, seeded 17th in her first-ever Cincinnati main draw, has done it again. Nobody expected it to end like this. A straight-sets demolition of a seasoned WTA veteran, a crowd that refused to stop roaring, and a Filipina sensation who is proving that the Eala effect isn't just real, it's unstoppable. The story of Eala's Cincinnati arrival begins, not on the court, but in the streets of Mason, Ohio, where thousands of Filipino fans transformed the Lindner Family Tennis Center into the latest outpost of Barang Eala, and they didn't waste a single moment. Eala arrived in Ohio fresh off a grueling North American swing that had seen her capture her first WTA title in Washington, extend her winning streak to 7 matches, and reach the round of 16 in Toronto before falling to Belinda Bencic. The brief break, a haircut, some time with friends, and a chance to breathe was exactly what she needed. "I definitely will take maybe 2 days off," she had said after Toronto. "I need to get a haircut. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My nails are grown out." Now she was back, and the crowd was waiting. The Cincinnati Open, a $7.4 million WTA 1000 event, represented something historic for the 21-year-old Filipina. For the first time in her career, Eala had earned a seeding in a WTA 1000 tournament, number 17, her highest billing yet on tour. The seeding came with a first-round bye, a luxury she had never enjoyed before. Not long ago, she would either be given wildcards or have to play through qualifiers. Now she was a legitimate force who packed venues to the rafters. And the Filipino community in Ohio was ready. While Cincinnati's Filipino population is estimated between 1,000 and 2,000, Ohio as a whole is home to nearly 17,000 Filipino Americans. And they were determined to fill the stands. The same phenomenon that had turned Washington and Toronto into Little Manila was about to happen again. The practice courts were surrounded by fans waving Philippine flags. The stadium that would host Eala's matches was buzzing with anticipation. The internet was already exploding with videos of the welcome. Eala would face either WTA No. 77 Elena Gabriela Ruse of Romania or NOA 68 Magda Linette of Poland. The Manila Times reported that her head-to-head with Linette was split to 2-2. Though she had won both meetings this season at the ASB Classic in Auckland and the Miami Open against Ruse, she was 0-1, having lost a tough 3-setter in the 2020 US Open qualifiers. But the crowd didn't care about the numbers. They cared about their hero. Eala herself was overwhelmed by the love. "It's an amazing experience. It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis," she said. Hopefully, she added, it would help grow the sport and give them something new and joyful to experience. Barang Toronto had been a success. Barang Cincinnati was just beginning, and the tennis world was about to witness what happens when a community decides to show up for its own. Before Eala could conquer the $7.4 million Cincinnati Open, she had to conquer a demon. Magda Linette, the 34-year-old Polish veteran. A player who had beaten her twice last year. A player who knew how to make her uncomfortable. And a player who had just pulled off one of the biggest upsets of the tournament by stunning her compatriot and 6-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek in the first round. Eala knew exactly what she was walking into. The head-to-head was split to 2-2. The first 2 meetings went to Linette. The Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open and the Nottingham Open in 2025. The next 2 went to Eala. The ASB Classic in Auckland and the Miami Open in 2026. But this was different. This was a WTA 1000 event. The stakes were higher, the pressure was greater, and the crowd was watching. "They can maybe relax a bit because they will see me on court very soon," Eala had said with a smile, acknowledging the thousands of Filipino fans who had turned the tournament into a home game. But inside, she knew the challenge was real. Linette's path to the second round had been brutal. She had fought through a grueling 3-set match against Elena Gabriela Ruse, a Romanian who had beaten Eala before in the 2020 US Open qualifiers. Linette survived, and now she was standing between Eala and a third-round meeting with Amanda Anisimova, the 9th seed. But what made Linette truly dangerous wasn't just her ranking. It was her experience, her resilience, her ability to frustrate younger players with her defense, and her ability to extend rallies beyond what they expected. Eala remembered their first meeting. Linette had outlasted her, outworked her, and outexperienced her. The Polish veteran had been a constant presence on the WTA Tour for over a decade, and she knew how to make life difficult for rising stars. But this time, Eala was the one with momentum. She had just won her first WTA title in Washington. She had extended her winning streak to 7 matches. She had beaten world No. 3 Jessica Pegula in the final. She had climbed to a career-high world No. 20 ranking. And she had a legion of fans who were ready to roar her to victory. The brief break in Toronto, a haircut, some time with friends, and a chance to breathe was exactly what she needed. Now she was back, and she was ready. "I definitely will take maybe 2 days off, a day or 2, Eala had said after Toronto. "I need to get a haircut. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My nails are grown out. So yeah, I'll do a couple things just to get my mind off tennis." The rest had given her time to recharge. Now it was time to remind the world why the Eala effect was unstoppable. The stage was set, the crowd was roaring, and Eala was about to deliver a performance that would silence every doubter who had questioned whether she could handle the pressure of a WTA 1000 event on her own. The match began, and from the very first point, it was clear that Eala had come to play. Linette, the Polish veteran, who had won 2 of their previous meetings, started strong. She held serve in the opening game, testing Eala's backhand and forcing the Filipina to work for every point. The early exchanges were tense. Both players were feeling each other out, searching for weaknesses to exploit. Eala had a 2-2 head-to-head record against Linette entering this match. She dropped their first 2 meetings, 6-7. 1-6 in the 2024 Abu Dhabi Open and for 2-6. 3-6 in the 2025 Nottingham Open, before bouncing back with wins at the ASB Classic in Auckland, 6-3, 6-2, and the Miami Open, 6-3, 7-6. But this was different. This was a WTA 1000 event. The stakes were higher, the pressure was greater, and the crowd was watching. Eala found her rhythm in the 4th game. A powerful forehand down the line, a precise backhand cross-court. Linette was suddenly on the defensive. The break came. Eala's fist pump was immediate. The crowd erupted, and the momentum had shifted. The opening set unfolded as a classic baseline chess match. Both players held serve through the first 7 games, with neither giving away cheap points. But Eala's efficiency was the difference. She landed 60.9% of her first serves and won an impressive 71.8% of those points, allowing her to stay level in extended rallies. Then came the turning point. In the 8th game, Eala earned just her 2nd break opportunity of the entire match. She converted it and then rode that momentum to close out the set 6-3, but Linette wasn't finished. The Polish veteran, who had stunned her compatriot Iga Swiatek in the first round, raised her level in the 2nd set. She won 73% of her first serve points and applied more pressure on return. Rallies shortened, the tempo increased. Eala found herself trailing 4-5, staring at the possibility of a decider. This was the moment that defined the match. Instead of overhitting, Eala leaned into her strengths: depth, patience, court positioning. She won a remarkable 76% of her second serve points, neutralizing rallies even when she couldn't land her first serve. She held to force a tea break. Then she completely took control in the breaker. Eala's clarity stood out. She attacked Linette's second serve, dictated early in rallies, and surged to a 7-2 finish. The final scoreline, 6-3, 7-6, Eala closed the match in 1 hour and 48 minutes with minimal drama in the final stretch. She had done it again. She had beaten a seasoned WTA veteran, a player who had beaten her twice before on one of the biggest stages in tennis. But what made this victory even sweeter was what came next. Eala had shown that she could handle the pressure, survive the tough moments, and deliver when it mattered most. The 21-year-old Filipina had proven that the Eala effect wasn't just about the crowd. It was about the player and the crowd. They were just getting started. The victory was sweet. But what happened next was even sweeter. As Eala walked off center court at the Lindner Family Tennis Center, the roar from the crowd was deafening. The same sound that had echoed through Sobeys Stadium in Toronto. The same roar that had filled the William H. G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center in Washington. The same sound that had become the soundtrack to Alex Eala's remarkable summer. The $7.4 million Cincinnati Open had been transformed into Barangay Eala, and the tennis world was watching in disbelief. The scenes were reminiscent of what had happened in Toronto just days earlier. At least a dozen Philippine flags were draped over railings in the stands. Fans wore custom t-shirts. Children held signs that read, "Fight, Believe, Represent," and chants of "Let's Go, Alex," echoed through the stadium. Diane Castillo, the veteran Filipino journalist who had covered the tournament, had called the Toronto crowd the loudest she had ever heard. And Cincinnati was giving it a run for its money. The atmosphere inside the Lindner Family Tennis Center was electric. "It's the kind of noise that accompanies a Grand Slam win," Mark Pai had said in Toronto. And this is just the second round, but here's what made the Cincinnati crowd even more remarkable. The Filipino population in Cincinnati is significantly smaller than in Toronto, estimated between 1,100 and 2,000, yet Ohio as a whole is home to nearly 17,000 Filipino Americans. And they had made the journey to Mason to support their hero. The players were taking notice. Coco Gauff, the world-known and reigning U.S. Open champion, had already praised Eala's impact on the sport. "I like that Alex brings a whole new demographic to the WTA Tour," she said. "I think what she's doing for the sport of tennis is great. She's a great role model for people to look up to." Jessica Pegula, the world-known who fell to Eala in the Washington final, had been even more direct to all the Filipino fans who came out and supported. "You guys are helping grow tennis around the world," she said after the match. "Being a female athlete, being in tennis, we love to see that growth, the crowd that wouldn't stop, the fans who refused to leave." After Eala's victory, the stadium didn't empty. The Philippine flags didn't disappear. The chants continued. The community that had made this tournament their own was celebrating, and Eala was celebrating right alongside them. In her post-match interview, Eala addressed the fans who had turned Cincinnati into a home away from home. "Maraming salamat, Bayanitin," she said. "I see you guys every week. I see how much you love your fellow Filipinos. That's why I'm so proud to be Filipino." The Eala effect wasn't just about selling out stadiums. It was about transforming them, turning quiet tennis matches into celebrations of identity, turning strangers into family, turning a 21-year-old from the Philippines into a global icon. And the Cincinnati Open would never be the same. And so we arrive at the question that the tennis world is asking itself as Alex Eala celebrates her stunning victory over Magda Linette at the Cincinnati Open. What does this mean for the US Open, the biggest stage of them all? The victory over Linette was a statement, a declaration that the Eala effect isn't just about the crowd. It's about the player herself. The 21-year-old Filipina had just beaten a seasoned WTA veteran who had stunned her compatriot in the first round. And she had done it on one of the biggest stages in tennis. The Cincinnati Open is the final warm-up before the US Open. The tournament runs from August 13th to 23rd at the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio. Eala entered as the No. 17 seed, her highest seeding ever in a WTA 1000 event, and received a first-round bye. The bye is a luxury she has never enjoyed before. Not long ago, she would either be given wildcards or have to play through qualifiers. Now she's a legitimate force who earns a seeded position that the sport's elite take for granted. But Cincinnati is just the appetizer. The US Open is the main course. The US Open runs from August 30th to September 13th at Flushing Meadows, New York. Last year, Eala made history by becoming the first Filipino tennis player to win a Grand Slam match during the Open era. Now she returns as a legitimate contender, a top 20 player with a target on her back. Eala's approach to the US Open reveals everything about her mindset. "I don't have a specific round in the US Open that I say I need to reach. The way I approach tournaments is match by match, round by round," she said. That patient mindset has become one of the foundations of her success, helping her navigate the biggest moments of her career while continuing to improve against the world's top players. Filta Executive Director Tanet Mendoza believes the key is rest. In Canada, we saw that Alex was tired because she played in Washington. She played all rounds and her games were grueling, Mendoza told the Daily Tribune after Eala's Toronto exit. I hope she can rest so that she can be fresh in Cincinnati and in the US Open. The first round by in Cincinnati gave exactly that, an opportunity to recharge before the most important stretch of her career. Mendoza also believes Eala's Wimbledon run, where she defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek, will continue to fuel her confidence. Since Wimbledon, Alex's momentum was really high in the Canadian Open. She was just a bit tired, Mendoza said. That's good because of her energy and her belief in herself. If she loses, it's like she knows that she will lose. It's good that her momentum is high. Eala's commitment to the US Open goes beyond the court.